Welcome to Around Town, featuring what's happening here in the greater Concord area. I'm your host, Dick Patten. It's a pleasure to welcome you back as we're now in the autumn season. And we're waiting for that first big frost to knock off a few apples off the trees and the first taste of apple cider. And I've been to my football game in Ann Arbor, Michigan, and now we're here to talk about baseball. Baseball? Yes, baseball. But unfortunately, it's not a good talking away. But Steve Destefano is with the Concord Sunset League. And I have some ties to that Sunset League, believe it or not. My uncle played on one of the teams way back in the 1940s, I think it was. That he was, and I want to keep saying, I think it was the Hayshakers or something. Haymakers,
yep.
And he was on there with Rule Kobe, and there was somebody else's name he mentioned. There was several of them, because when he was up here one time from Rhode Island, he called Rule Kobe. And they had, for over an hour, I guess, on the phone about him. And he said, Bill Etheridge, my goodness, Bill Etheridge. And that was his name, Bill Etheridge.
That rings a bell, too.
They played, yeah, because, of course, his son, Jack Etheridge, well, it was Herbert, but Jack Etheridge was a car salesman for Capital Dodge for many years down there, down on South Main Street. But yeah, you can go back in the history, and I'm sure you'll find his name, because he was, he talked about baseball for years. But anyway, I read an article recently where you are kind of concerned about the future of the Sunset League. Is that because of all, you've got the American Legion going on, their league, you've got Babe Ruth, you've got this, that, and what's going on with the Sunset?
No, I think what we need is we just need some more people to volunteer their time.
Yeah.
There's still a lot of kids who want to play baseball, but coming up with sponsors or coming up with coaches, that's the hard part. And I've been running the league since 1992, and probably the last 10 years by myself.
Yeah.
Because either people have passed away, they've gotten older and don't want to participate, or they've moved, or work got in the way. So, yeah, I'd like to get back to the days of, a president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, and three members of the board.
Yeah.
And that's what I'm pushing, just for some help, because if I get hit by a truck, there's nobody in place to keep this thing going, and it's been going since 1909. We don't want it to go away.
I know, yeah. And that's the way. That's why you heard my fill before the show started about traditions in Concord.
Right.
There you are trying to preserve the Sunset League because of the long, glorious history. And here I am trying to preserve the downtown lighting of the tree and the manger and whatever else, and the parade up here on the Heights, which is now in its 66th year. Gosh knows how long the tree's been down there for lit for how many. I mean, I remember, well, like you're a Heights boy.
Yep.
I should have said that. You can remember. Now, was it you and your sister?
Yeah, I have my younger sister, yes.
What was her first name?
Diane.
I thought it was Diane, but It didn't sound right. I mean, I can remember your mother shopping at Toll's Market years ago on the Heights here on Loudon Road.
Yeah.
And so, you know what it was like, what the Heights was, number one, the two-lane road and the 4th of July parades.
4th of July was a big parade back then when I was a kid.
Yeah, and that went out the window. And so you know what it's like to try to preserve a tradition, try to keep something going. So do you have your teams in place for next year or no?
No, that's the difficult thing about the Sunset League is, well, like I said, sponsors.
Yeah.
But a lot of the kids that play in the Sunset League play college baseball, and most of them are Division II or III. So they play in the league for 2 or 3 years. So my team, as an example, I probably had a 90% turnover this year from last year because kids graduated.
Yeah.
Almost all the kids left. I think I had 2 come back to this year's team. So you need to do some work. You need to find players. In the old, going way back, when I first started in 1974, Donnie Steenbeck coached one of the teams, and there was a group of guys that everyone was a little bit older, and they played year after year, and they added 1 or 2 different players. Baseball there's been a lot more baseball in town. Now there's an over 28 league, there's an over 38 league, and there's an over 50 league. So instead of playing in the Sunset League till you're in your 40s, my dad played till he was 44 in the Sunset League.
Yeah.
Now they leave the Sunset League and they jump up to the 28 or 38. So it's mostly kids. So the difficulty is keeping a roster every year, and then the coach may leave because he's a college kid, and that's the hard part. So,
don't they? And again, this is where I'm getting at now with the tree lighting. Doesn't anybody talk to anybody? Don't they know that you have the Sunset League, and perhaps they could work with you folks on the players or things?
Well, I think if I can get more people involved with the board, then we can get out and everyone can have a little bit different jobs, to get teams, to get players, to get sponsors, to get coaches, so that it's not me trying to get everybody. And I think that may help a little bit. I didn't mean to, the article that came out, I didn't mean to say that the league is dying. I just need some help. Because I coach a team, I run the league, and it basically kills my summer. For 2.5 months, I'm just making sure that, umpires are there, the kids are showing up, the money's coming in, the bills are paid, and I'm not whining, but it would be nice to get a little bit of help.
It is tough, Steve, because, you're right. If something happens to you, who's going to step up and do it?
Right.
If something happens to me, what happens with the parade and the tree lighting?
Right.
Anybody going to step up? Or same with the Grange.
Right.
It's tough because you're right. I'm heading into my 46th year doing the parade and the tree downtown, the manger. And, 46 years is like, are you going to be around for the 50th? Hell, I don't know. I'm lucky if I make the 47th.
Yeah.
But it is a lot of work, and you start, the parade this year is November 18th. So by January, Jim Casano and I are meeting over supper somewhere, talking about the theme for next year, and all this stuff. And it's just like, and then of course, come April and May, we might have a committee meeting just to talk. But by August, the parade letters go out for money for sponsors. Then the letters go out for participants 1st of September. And other people say, gee, you should send them out earlier. We send them out earlier, they still don't pay attention to it.
Yeah.
So what do? Because someone say Christmas. Well, that's what's coming. People seem to think that it's something that just throws together.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Yeah.
So
it takes a lot of time for everything.
It does.
And I get it. People are busy today. The kids are busier. The parents are busier. Working 2 jobs, running around. But it just, I'm going to make a stronger effort this winter to hog tie some of my friends that have been involved with the league for years to see if they at least can help out a little bit. It's not a lot of heavy lifting. It'd be nice just to spread it around a little bit more.
Now, if I remember right, you're younger than me because I graduated in '70. Where'd you graduate?
74 from Bishop Brady.
Brady, you're Brady,
Yeah.
74.
Yeah.
So you've seen what goes on, and I'm telling you, it's not fun.
Yeah.
You get a few sometimes that will come out on parade day to help us with the street closing and all that, but then they don't show up.
Yeah.
Then we get a call from the police department. Well, hey, we can't make them get out there. It's free. They don't get paid.
Yeah.
Like with you folks, do your volunteers get paid?
No.
No.
Our biggest expenses are the umpires, and we have to pay for the fields, and we use the lights sparingly because the lights are $116 an hour. So we used to in the old days we used to have double headers at Memorial Field every Monday night, but it just got expensive. In the old days, the players never paid any money.
No.
They used to collect money at the games, and they used to have a book that sponsors were in the book.
Yeah.
But as time went on, no one wanted to do the book anymore. People didn't want to put an ad in, so now the players have to pay $75, and the league fee for a team to get in the league is $750.
So it's
And-
$750 for if I want
sponsor.
to be a sponsor.
Correct. Yeah, if you want to be a sponsor. You know, and some of the do it a little bit differently. The sponsors pay for the uniforms for the kids. Some of the sponsors, you know, have the kids chip in and buy the uniforms.
Wow.
But it's, you know, in the grand scheme of thing, they're going to play a minimum of 15 regular season games. It works out to $5 a game. So the player fee really isn't that much compared to a lot of other leagues. You know, the up over 28, over 30, you're paying $250 to play a season, which is about the same. They play on weekends, but it's usually about 15, 16 games.
All right. So what I'm driving at is if the Grange decided they would like to sponsor a team, it's $750.
Yep.
That's it.
That's it. I mean,
But then you mentioned something about uniforms.
well, the teams need uniforms.
So then on top of that, how much?
It could be a couple $100 more, if the sponsor wanted to pay for the uniforms. But the league pays for everything else. The league pays for the baseballs, they pay for the fields, pay for the umpires. Everything else is paid by the league. So that's the only expense. We run it differently than a lot of other programs. Yeah, the over 28 and over 38, the team themselves, they pay the umpires after every game. They buy the baseballs. You know, so that's an expense that the team takes on. Whereas the way we do it, the league takes it on. The league, so the teams only have to worry about their players and the uniforms. They don't have to worry about the other stuff. The league will take care of all that. And that's why it's kind of a pain, because that's me taking care of all that stuff.
No, wait a minute now. Again, you just said something. You said if the sponsor can't afford to do the uniforms too, then the league takes care of it?
We try to get the kids to throw in 10 or 15 extra bucks. And so instead of $75, it's $90. Because Brine Sports or Everett Sports, Bobby Polisi has done the uniforms for us. Basically, it cost for the last few years so that we can get uniforms. And you know, we don't want to make it too much of a burden on the kids. We understand that they're college kids; they don't have a lot of money. You know, sometimes the parents are paying for them to play. But like I said, some of the sponsors pay for the uniforms every year.
Now you said these are Division II and III
Most of them.
players.
Well, a good portion of them. Yeah.
College players.
Yep.
So college is like Plymouth State,
Well,
St. Anselm.
Yep.
Who else is?
well, let me give you a good example. My team this year, I had 7 kids from Plymouth State on my team.
Yeah.
The prior 3 years, I had about 8 or 9 kids from Keene State. But unfortunately, they all graduated. So I didn't have any kids on my team this year from Keene State, but I had a good group. And the coach up, Clay Jenkins, is the coach at Plymouth State. So he asked if his kids could be on one team, and we kept them all together. And then the 3 years prior, the coach of the Keene State team, he wanted to have all of his kids playing together because some of the kids are going to be freshmen that played on the team, so they don't know them. And then there's, you know, some freshmen, juniors, and seniors. So it worked out real well. I had a good group of kids for the last 4 years. 3 of them from Keene State, and this year from Plymouth State.
So, how many players on a team?
We'd like to have around 15.
Okay.
Just because we don't like forfeits. And, you know, a lot of kids, the draw for the Concord Sunset League is, because there's a lot of other leagues. There's the Futures League, there's the NECBL.
Oh, I know.
But those, they play 50 or 60 games a year. So they're playing almost every night, and they have to pay a fair chunk of change to play. But they can't work. You know, it's baseball all summer. Most of these kids need to work to make some money to pay the tuition. So each team usually plays 2 nights a week. Our season is a Monday through Thursday. We don't play on Friday or the weekends. And it's usually every team plays 2 games a week. So the kids can work. And if they can't work, they usually call me up and say, hey, I'm not going to make it tonight. So, that's why it's always good to have 14 or 15 on the roster.
Interesting. Huh. And what's your budget, Steve?
You know, the budget, it really depends on how many teams.
Yeah.
This year we had 4. You know, probably 3 years ago we had 7. We had 7 teams in the league. So, I mean, the budget varies. I mean, one year it could be $10,000. This past year it's probably $6,000 or $7,000 because less umpires, less field charges, and things like that.
Wasn't it always, though, standard 4 teams?
It had always been four. Again, back before the over 20 and 28, 30, there was usually just 4 teams.
Yeah, I was thinking that.
When I took over, if you got 4 teams, but you've got enough kids that want to play for 7 teams, why not try to get more sponsors so the kids can play? The whole point is to keep kids involved with baseball. A lot of them are going back to school. They're going to play fall baseball. They're trying to keep in shape. But there's other guys that just love the game. I mean, it's kids that are probably in their early 20s. They played high school baseball, haven't done it in a while, but they want to keep playing. And I think we could probably have 6 or 7 teams every year if I had the coaches or the sponsors. But that's the hard part. I think I had 21, 22 kids on my roster this year.
Because I can remember, I used to love to read the sports in the paper.
Yep.
And I could always remember there was it Rumford Press?
Rumford Press. Now you're back in the 60s and 70s.
Grapponi's.
Grapponi. Grapponi's been a sponsor for over 50 years.
United Life.
Yep.
And there was another one. It wasn't the Hayshakers.
No, you had United Life. You had the Budman were there for years. Eagles, Ferns.
Ferns, that's what it was.
Ferns. I played on the Ferns team probably from the late 70s till the late 80s. And again, they ended up going out of business, but they were a terrific sponsor. I mean, and not to talk about the old days, but when I used to be a bat boy, and when Red ran the league, Red Eastman ran the league for years and years and years.
Yeah.
At the end of the year, they used to have so much money in the pot. They used to take all the players, the families, to Bear Brook State Park for an outing, and it was all paid for.
Yeah.
But that's when people, you'd have hundreds of people showing up for the games, and Tommy Curtis used to go around and collect money from everybody and now the only people that show up are girlfriends, parents, and there's not a lot of people. So the kids are playing for more of the love of the game than playing in front of fans.
Because there's so much going on.
That's right. There's a lot going on.
I mean, every during the summer, every night there's something. I mean, Nevers bands go there on Tuesday nights.
Yep.
You've got, like I said, the American Legion starts their season up there, the statewide, and then you've got, like you said, the New England Baseball College League.
Yep.
That's going. I mean, Concord doesn't have a team now, but for a while it was the Concord Swamp Bats.
Yep.
And
Corey Dogs.
Oh, that's right, the Keene Swamp. Oh, Jesus. Oh,
Keene
boy.
Swamp Bats.
Oh,
They're
boy.
still,
Yes,
now
I
they're
know.
still like Keene Swamp Bats are still around. Yep.
Yeah, so I thought, that's right, the Quarry Dogs, that's right, because we hosted a player at our home for the season.
Yep.
Because nobody would take him in Concord.
Yeah.
And that really, that was sad, because I can remember somebody saying to me, "You wash his clothes with your clothes?" Yeah, why? I'll tell you after show why.
Yeah.
But anyway.
But most of those kids were Division I players. Those are kids that
Yes, he came from Southern University.
Yeah, they play the NECBL, they may, depending on what year they're, if they're a freshman in the NECBL, their goal would be to get to the Cape League. So maybe in their sophomore or junior year, they took a step up and played down in the Cape League, that is elite baseball in this area.
Well, this one here got drafted by the Toledo Mudheads of the Cincinnati Reds, I think.
Yep.
Because when I went to Michigan to see my game, we went down there and saw him play in Toledo, and it was interesting. And we still hear from him today.
Yeah.
But he was a good kid.
It's good. There's a lot of kids that want to play baseball. There's very good baseball in the Greater Concord area. I mean, we don't just get from Concord. I mean, kids that play in the league, they come from all over the state. I've got kids coming over from Dover, some coming up from Nashua. I had a kid coming down this year from Littleton.
Where do they stay?
No, they just down and back.
Price the gas.
Yeah, but the thing is, that shows you how much they want to play baseball. If a kid's driving an hour and a half to come down and play baseball, and then driving an hour and a half home, he enjoys the game. He wants to play, and that's why, that's why this league is an integral part of not only the city but the state, because it keeps the kids playing that are not going to be in an NECBL team. They need to work. But we usually work the schedule so, if we have 2 games in a week, for example, this year I had 2 catchers and they were both very good. But one would always make sure they was there and the other one would take the night off because one came over from Hebron and the other one came from Littleton. So they didn't want to make that commute, so they made it one night a week, and then they could stay up there and work. And as long as I had a catcher, that's all I cared about.
Yeah, really. Interesting. Well, I can tell you, I would love to volunteer for you. I don't know what I could do, but Monday nights is a bad night for me. Generally, it's my Grange night, but we don't meet every night, but every Monday night, but usually. But if there's something I can do, I would be more than happy to help you out.
Well, talk it up. That's a big.
You were. I can remember when you were my first term as a legislator. You sat right in front of me.
Yeah.
See, you should get some money from them.
The legislature?
Yeah.
Good luck with that.
Well, hey. I just got a thing the other day in the mail, on email about they're starting their collections early for next year's elections, and they want anywhere from $1,000 to be this kind of a sponsor, $750 to that, and then the blah blah blah. Or you could be a $25 ticket.
Yeah.
And my wife says, you only make $100 a year.
Yeah.
And even out of that, they take taxes.
Yeah. Yeah, you really want to have to do that for $100 a year. I mean, I enjoyed until the end. I enjoyed my time in the legislature because it was nice being involved. You knew what was going on. You didn't have to read it in the paper. You could sit there and listen to the 2-hour debate or 3-hour debate on some of the bills instead of reading a paragraph in the paper and trying to decipher what actually happened. But it takes a lot of time. I mean, you're up there at least 4 days a week, and then you have the county things on the 5th day.
Yeah, I know.
It takes a lot of time.
That's a freebie.
Yeah, but you get mileage.
Well, I don't in Concord.
Well, it's me either. I'm in Bow. I think it goes 8 miles.
But I mean, it's too bad. People don't realize, and they think that because you've got a state plate or whatever, that you're making all kind of. Yeah. Okay.
No.
When you sit up there, then
it's giving back. I looked at it. You're giving back to the state. You just. And
it's the politics that gets you, though.
Yeah.
But it was fun. But it's amazing, though, how many people will come around with their hand out. Yeah. But if you go with your hand out.
Yeah.
Depending which party you're in, but no, I just think it's a good cause. No, but I would definitely try to help you out with it because I know what it's like. I know exactly what it's like. Well, who does your publicity and stuff?
I mean, that's what I'm hoping to get with another 6 or 7 people. They can get to the monitor a little bit more often. I would make the call to the monitor and try to get them to come down. In the good old days, there used to be, and I understand they can't do it now, but back in the 60s and 70s, there was someone from the monitor at every game. So the next day, there would be a box score in the paper of the game. Obviously they can't do it.
I don't mind doing your publicity or something like that. I'd be more than happy to send in articles in the paper for that.
Well, anybody that wants I'm happy to take any help that I can get.
I'll tell you, the Insider is excellent.
Yeah.
They really, Tim Goodwin over there, they do a darn good, I know they're part of the paper, but they do an excellent job of publicizing stuff. Yeah.
The difficulty is I live in Bow, I don't get it. Yeah. It only goes to Concord.
Yeah.
But I mean, it would be great to get them involved as well.
I'd be more than happy to do your publicity for you. Tell me what you want written in, and I'll keep writing it during this winter, even especially in the wintertime.
I'll take you up on that.
Yeah, by all means there, Steve, because, like I said, we remember the old days. We're from Burglar's Island.
Burglar's Island, absolutely.
Here, so the Dark Plains and.
The Heights was a nice place to grow up. It was interesting. I mean, when I lived there, it was before the apartments were on Loudon Road. We used to watch them being built. We used to play over as they were being built, running through the buildings. That was a long time ago. That's probably in the late 60s.
I could have cried when I saw that being torn down, Dame School over there.
Yeah, that's
I'm glad they kept the auditorium, and of course the new wing, I wasn't in there.
yeah.
My sister was.
I was
I was in the other wing, the old wing that they tore down, the dopes.
when I went into 6th grade. That's the year that the new wing opened up. I was the first
Yeah.
class to get into the new wing.
Yeah, that was what, Mr. Alexander?
Actually, he was one of my teachers, Mr. Alexander. Absolutely.
What
Yep.
the way he is now.
I don't know. He used to live in East Concord because we used to go over and visit him. We'd ride our bikes over and visit him.
Really?
Yep.
David Alexander?
Yep. Yeah, he was East Concord somewhere because I remember riding a bike over to visit with him. Yep.
For goodness sakes.
Yep.
But no, but Mrs. Guyman, she was quite the gal.
Yep. Yep. Mrs. Guyman, Mrs. Westover.
Oh, yeah. Oh.
Mrs. Westover was my 2nd grade teacher. Mrs. Nesbitt.
That was my 1st grade teacher.
Really? Yeah.
Miss Hurley was a 2nd grade, but I had Mrs. Graham as my 2nd grade teacher.
Yeah.
Then Mrs. Laramie and Miss Downing were the 3rd grade teachers. I
Yep.
had Downing. She's still alive.
Yeah.
Then there was Mrs. Hall and Mrs. Brown as your 4th grade teachers.
Yeah.
I had Mrs. Brown. Then Miss Hazelton and Mrs. Mullen were the 5th grade teachers, and Mrs. Mullen's daughter-in-law just died 2 days ago.
Really?
She was Don Mullen's wife, the one who was a coach at Concord High.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
It's
Yeah.
in today's paper. And then in 6th grade was Mrs. Hyde
I had
and
Mrs. Hyde.
Mrs. Brown, who moved up to the 6th grade because Miss Sprackett got married and left.
You've got a much better memory than I do about that. I only remember a handful of the
Well, I
teachers.
love Dame School, Steve, was really good.
Yeah.
Because all of us kids were equal.
Yeah.
Nobody had their nose up in the air. We were all the same.
Yeah. We all walked to school.
But when we got to Runlet, because I don't know where you went
I went to Runlet.
Did you go to Runlet?
7th and 8th grade. Yeah.
It was a different ball game.
Yep.
But anyway. Well, it's been good having you on, Steve. And like I said, anybody who wants more information can call you or go on the
We have a
internet
website.
website there
Yep.
in the Sunset League. And like I said, count on me.
All right.
Up at publicity at least, and I'll try to do more than that.
I appreciate it. Thank
Hey,
you for
no
letting me
problem.
come on your show.
Oh, I'm glad to have you on.
Yeah.
So again, I should have introduced you as former state legislator, but
it's all right.
representative. But anyhow, with that in mind, thank you to Ian Marx, my director, and we've been visiting with Steve Destefano, who is the president, I guess, of
Yep.
the Concord Sunset League, and I think about over the winter, maybe you want to get involved with that. So, take care. Have a good day. We'll see you soon on Around Town.